Okay, folks, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about color. This is on Chapter 5 in your Photoshop book. First of all, colors. Where do we get them? There are two panels here. One's swatches and the other's color, the color panel, and swatches. Okay, I can actually... Oh, another place where you'll put your colors is over here, a foreground color. And over here, the one behind is your background color. Okay. One thing we can do is with the foreground in the front is we can just go and pick a swatch. And it's pink. Let's get a little paintbrush so that we can see. It is pink. Let's get a different brush. That's kind of goofy. Okay, it is pink. It's 25%. Let's get this. Okay, it is pink. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm going to go Command A and hit delete. And I want to delete it with a background color. Okay, so it's back to white. Okay, another way with the foreground selected over here, another way is we can go and click on this patch right here, the foreground color square right there. And we can choose a color this way too. We can do that. Let's try that one. Let's try something kind of like that. Okay, that's pretty. Let's see what it looks like. That looks really good. Okay, what if I want to save that color? All I have to do is be sure it's in the foreground. Come over here in your swatches, and it looks like it's a little bucket, and you just click. And you can name it too. I'll call it teal. Add to my current library. And there it is right there. So that's about the swatches. Okay, you can also, and the color picker. This, go here and you get the color picker. Okay. Now there's another way of getting color. Go to the color tab over here. You can also do little colors this way. Find some in there like this that you like. There's kind of a yellow. Here's kind of a green. Kind of an orange. Say you like the orange. Well, that's pretty cool. Now it's in the foreground. Let's see if it paints orange. Yeah, it sure does. So, if you like that color, go to the swatches and just drop it in. I'll just call it orange. Orange. Okay. So those are the three places where you can work with color. There's one more thing you can do. In the swatches, first of all, we chose colors in the swatches. We chose color here in the color picker. And we created color here. Now there's some colors that are already made. If you go in the swatches panel and go to the top right corner, look at this. All these swatches, all of them. A lot of times we use Pantone solid coated. Now look what's going to happen to my swatch panel. I can append it. Look at that. Lots and lots and lots of colors to choose from. Let's say I like that green. There it is. There it is. Pretty cool. Now, if you have done that and you got so many colors, at the top should be those first colors that Photoshop gave us. If there's so many colors there and you're done with that and you want to get back to the colors that were originally there when Photoshop came to you and you installed it, go up here and we can reset the swatches. And don't append because we want to get rid of those others. And don't save. And there they all are again. Now the colors that I created before are missing too. The ones that I created when I did this and did a color like that and I put it in here, those disappeared. Now I got another one there. Now if there's some colors that you want to get rid of, let's say that color that I just did, if you go right click, you can delete that swatch. So you can do that too if there's some colors you don't want. So that's about colors. There's somewhere else where you can get colors. It is under Window, Extensions, Adobe Color Themes. Now this is actually going to the internet for us, but we can go to Analogous, Monochrome, we can go to Shades, but we can explore themes. And there's just so many themes coming down from Adobe. Let's say I kind of like, let's say I like this theme. Okay, let's go Actions. Edit this theme, add to my favorites. I can add that theme to my swatches. What I did was I went to Explore. I found a theme that I liked. Let's find a different one. Let's find kind of a cool one here. Let's do it again. Let's say I want these bright colors, and it's called My Color Theme. I can actually do the actions. I think this might be up there. I think this is the actions maybe. And add it to my swatches. There they are. It added it to my swatches, so there's another place where you can get color. So that's what I can say about how to find colors, put them in your swatches panel, or put them in the foreground color or the background color. Let's put red there. Go OK. Whoops, that's that. Now you can switch colors here. And if you want to go back to the default black foreground and white foreground, you can go there. So that's what I've got about colors. Okay, folks, there was something else in the chapter about a stroke. A stroke is where you can make a selection and then add a stroke to it. Last time you saw where I went edit, fill, and we got some color to fill. Okay, I've got this horse and I need to make it a layer, not a background. So I will go to the Layers panel, double click, and just say OK. So now it's a floating layer. To make a selection of something that's on a layer, hold the Command or the Control key on the PC, click on the picture on that layer, and it selects it. Okay? Now, I can put a stroke on that by going to Edit, Stroke, and I can actually, I'll make it 10 pixels because then you'll be able to see it. And you can click on the color, and I'll get, let me go back over here. I'll get kind of a deep brown. Let's get a deep brown. Ah, that's a little too deep. Maybe that. And go OK. Now, do we want to put the stroke from the edge inward or from the edge outward or across the center, half in, half out? Well, with this being my whole picture, I better put it on the inside. And I'm going to leave the blending mode normal and opacity. And if there was some transparency in the picture, I would preserve it. So let's go OK and see what we have. There it is. That's how you stroke a selection in Photoshop. Okay, there were two more things in the chapter having to do with color. One was hue and saturation, and the other's color balance. We'll still use this horse. Let me zoom in a little with him. Well, we'll still use this horse. Okay, what I'm going to do is the hue and saturation is under Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, or else Control on the PC, Command on the Mac, U. So let's go there. Here's where you can create some art. This is what we saw in class on Wednesday. If you want to really create art, you could do this. Just change the hue. Look at that. That is really cool. That's really kind of cool. That's really pretty. I like that red horse. Now you could saturate him real big or dull him down. Okay. Now I never use this. It just lightens everything all at once and darkens everything. This is one that I very, very I almost never use. So that's kind of cool. There's something else here about colorize. Let's see what that's doing. Let's go in the middle here. This will just colorize the picture like this. Okay, that's kind of cool if that's something you want. Uncheck colorize. We won't do that. But this is what you can do with hue and saturation. You can do it, do like changing the yellows. Let's see, let's try the cyans. Let's see if we can change the hue of just the background with cyan. Look, the horse is still cyan red, but my sky was cyan, so I'm changing just that. So you can change just certain groups of colors too. So that's hue and saturation. That's a pretty cool tool to use, and you can create art from that. The other thing is, oops, let's go back. The other thing is that talked about the color balance. Sometimes when a picture is too warm, too yellow, you can fix that. Now this picture, it's not, but we can maybe warm this one up. So we would go to Image, Adjust, Color Balance, right here. This is what this is about, guys. If your picture's too yellow, you can change this to be more blue. And that takes a lot of the yellow out of your image. You don't want to do it too much, but that's how you can get it. And you can do it both in the midtones and the shadows and the highlight. They might all be changed different. Might have different settings for each of those. If your picture was too green, you would add more magenta. Like if your grass was too green, you could select your grass and add more magenta. And if your picture, a lot of times when people's faces are red, you can like take some of the red out of them. So that's what the color balance is about. And it's really good to get rid of a little bit of a color cast in a picture. Okay, here's another thing you can do. What I did was, and we'll get into the gradient next, I created a gradient. And it's got pinks and some other colors in it, and I put it on a picture. I can do a color match with this horse. Here's a horse, but what if I want the colors from this to go into this picture, but it's still the picture of the horse and the sky and the grass? All I do is you got to have the file open that you want to match a color with. So here's my horse. I will go to Image, Adjustments, Color Match. Wait a minute. Where'd it go? Match color, sorry. Now, here, the source, I'll go get that, and it was untitled. Okay, there's the untitled. Look at that. All I did was color match it. How cool is that? Here's the Bavarian horse, so there is no match to that. But go ahead and do that. If there were other layers on that other file, I could choose which layer and stuff like that. Let's see if we fade. Oh, it just kind of, you can fade it out a little bit. You can make the colors more intense or less intense. How cool is that? Luminance. A little brighter, a little darker. It's kind of cool. I'm going to make it a little brighter. That is really neat. Let's see what neutralize does. Oh, that even makes it a little different. That is so neat, but I really like that. And then you go, okay. Let's look at the before and after. Before, after. That's color match. You can create art that way. Okay, another skill found in Chapter 5 was blending modes. So you got to have 2 layers. So what I'm going to do, I've got this picture up here, and I've got that one, and let's see what's on there. There's nothing on there. So here's my Bavarian horse. What I will do is I'll go to Window, Arrange, because I want to see all these pictures. I'll tile vertically. So I've got my gradient over here, my horse here, and there's nothing there. So I will get the Move tool and click on this picture. Then I will hold the Shift key so it'll drop in the center, and hold my mouse down, click and drag, and drop. Okay, so let's just click here. Let me go back to Window and Arrange, and we'll consolidate, so I've got just this one. Okay, there's that right there. So that's on layer 1. Let's see if it looked like the other one. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's not much of the color. Let me show you something else that you can do. I want to make that smaller so I can get some of the other colors in it. I will go Command T. Do you know what? That's way out there. So I'll bring that down. I'll have to scroll up. Well, let's see here. It's kind of hard to get that. Okay, let's just leave it there and hit return. Okay, I'll have it that way. We'll do transformations some other time. But look, I've got that on layer 1, and beneath it's the horse. Blending modes are really cool. You just click on the top layer where it says normal. Let's say darken. Oh, that's kind of cool. All of these here will darken it. Let's see, color burn. That's really neat. Dark color. Oh, it's different. Now this will lighten everything. Lighten. Let's do color dodge. Now that's kind of interesting. And let's see, color dodge add. Nah, that didn't look that good. How about screen? I really kind of like the color dodge on that one. And then these things kind of do a variety of things. If I do overlay, that's what it looks like. How about vivid light? That's what that looks like. How about a soft light? That just kind of lightly puts that gradient in there. How about hard mix? Ooh, that's kind of Okay, how about linear light? That's sort of neat. Now down the next group, difference. These do different things. And it just depends upon the colors. Here's exclude. Here's subtract. Ooh, that looks like a nighttime with the aurora borealis out in the sky. That's neat. Here's divide. All you have to do is just experiment. Here's hue. Now that actually kind of brought the hue of the gradient in with the picture of the horse. Saturation. That didn't do much. Color. That's kind of neat. And luminosity. That didn't turn out that good. I kind of like the overlay. So that's a lot. That's what the book's talking about when it's talking about using blending modes. But you got to have 2 layers to do it. And you use the layer that's above the layer that you're blending it with.